Britain is the single most centralised country of any advanced economy. We've got a legacy of empire. We are not an empire. The British governmental structures have not changed since London was the administrative centre of a global empire, which is not that long ago. You've got to remember, when Clement Attlee was Prime Minister, India was still part of the British Empire. So we've seen some baby steps with Scottish devolution, with the Welsh devolution and the agreement in Northern Ireland. And then we have the London mayoralty created in the year 2000, so that's now 21 years old. But really, very, very recently, we've had some devolution in the English regions. And for those of us who, I was born in 1970, grew up in the 70s, but particularly the 80s, when we saw what was happening to the industry in the northeast, and the failure to replace shipyards and steelworks and wagon works and coal mines with any sort of industrial policy was, it was just nearly again, but it was not good for our region. And we've seen the scars of that in terms of ill health in our region to do with entrenched poverty and reduced life chances for people. So the idea that the integrated rail plan comes out and, there's some things we might do at some point. If you get a city region deal, we might look at opening the Leamside line, is at best negligent, but frankly, it's contemptuous. Now, if you look at what devolution has done, so in 2.5 years, with a budget of only £20 million a year, which doesn't even cover what has been cut from the authorities in the north of Tyne. We've got a jobs pipeline of 4,400. We've got a child poverty prevention programme. We've changed the nature of qualifications here to the extent that, I think that might be a question later, so I'm not going into the detail of it, but we've gotten more people educated and qualified. We've set up community hubs. We are doing so much in terms of directly empowering communities. And the amount of money that we've returned to Treasury through the jobs created is about 3 times greater than the money we're spending. It's about generating wealth here. I've worked with a lot of people. I always try to work across party and build allies wherever possible. And I wrote a paper on what's called regional wealth generation, which is about fiscal devolution, which is about getting us an investment fund of £500 million so we can directly invest in startups and scale-ups and small businesses who find it very hard, some of them, to get the patient capital they need to grow. And if we can borrow at base rate, that's a fund that will pay for itself, and we'll be able to pay all the money back to Treasury. And in the meantime, we've created jobs. For every job we create, we're smashing our jobs target out of the park by a factor of 5. And if I can make a political point, anyone who says the Labour Party doesn't know how to run the economy should come and talk to me, because I know what I'm doing. And those jobs are creating wealth. But we don't get any more from it. If I was running the branch of a global corporation and I'd hit my sales targets by a factor of 5, they would be throwing money at me and say, can you do some more, please? So this is something that's in the paper. Land value uplift, and I've got the rest of the Northern Mayors now. They were at the People's Powerhouse event earlier online. And Andy generously gave me all the credit for it, because it's the paper that I've developed and been pushing these ideas. So this is where we put new rail infrastructure in, or other infrastructure, but it was rail we were talking about. So if we open a new line going from Northumberland Park through Cobalt and Silverlink and down to the Royal Quays, if we take one going through Scotswood and going over at the Metro Centre, if as a larger authority we build that Wearside loop going through Washington and Penshaw and joining with the line at South Hilton, so that we've got much better connectivity to our people, that land becomes more valuable. And at the moment it goes to speculators. Why shouldn't we be able to put a charge on that land so that we can fund the very things that are generating wealth and making it valuable? So these are the things that I'm putting out there, that have been in our comprehensive spending review bids, that I've spoken to Treasury officials and Treasury ministers about. And I got Jim O'Neill, who was the former Northern Powerhouse Minister, wrote the foreword for that paper for me. Andy Haldane, who leads the RSA. The RSA published it. Now, Andy's now working in central government on secondment, so he has to stay officially neutral. And so that's the sort of things that we should have. It's not just going to London and doing an Oliver Twist and saying, please, sir, can I have some more? I don't believe in levelling up. I believe in levelling beyond. I don't accept the idea that the North East has to be poor. I don't accept we have to be the second relation. We can generate wealth here. I want us, and I'll tell you what we have accomplished. For the first time ever, the unemployment in the north of Tyne now, not the wider northeast, just the north of Tyne, is now down to the national average. I want us to be below average unemployment. I want to eliminate unemployment. You're going to get some frictional unemployment as people move job to job, but I want to eliminate unemployment. I want us to have higher than average wages, and there's no reason why we can't. But it will never, ever happen as long as we're asking it from London. We need the powers here. Now, I'm not an advocate of full independence for the North or full independence for Scotland. I think it's, we need a common foreign policy and lots of other things, common defence policies. But I really sympathise with the people who call for that. And we want as much powers to the functional economic areas possible, and then work federally across the North for those things that work better, such as Northern Powerhouse Rail. So these are the things that I want. These are the things I've been calling for, and these are the things that I'm going to continue to push for. And every increment along that way, and it's, you know what we've got to become masters of our own destiny.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.